Hello everyone, this is Eloltep and this is another Coming of the Horde replay cast. Coming of the Horde is a custom map made by the Bronze for Warcraft 3. This is a somewhat unique replay, so I hope you'll enjoy it. I will begin the casting by showing the various players as well as trying to get a quick overview of the various heroes. Alright, so we'll turn off the Fog of War and we'll show the various players. And as you can see, the blue player is quickly trying to evacuate from Northshire, but the yellow is trying to chase him down, so he can't reach Stormwind and is forced to retreat north. Meanwhile, you can take a quick look at the Horde heroes. So we have Tychondrius for yellow, Ner'zhul for dark green, Shogal for light blue, and Maim for brown. So already you can see some shenanigans going on here. Whoops, looks like there was some pause or something because suddenly there was a massive amount of chat. But looks like every player is still here, so I'm not sure what that was about. As I was saying, the orange player is actually abandoning Ironforge and sending all his units north. Perhaps he's entrusting the defense to these Northshire clerics. Meanwhile, it looks like dark green and light blue are preparing to attack the blue player, who is probably going to try and out the defense, judging by the looks of his army, but he looks a bit indecisive, so we'll see what happens there later. Meanwhile, the yellow player is taking out Northshire Abbey. It looks like, yeah, the orange player is retreating all his forces to the mountain pass, and it looks like the red player is actually doing the same, so yeah, he's emptying Stromgarde. And there's some green units here as well, and even green's workers, so looks like maybe he's evacuating Quel'Thalas as well, but he still has a lot of troops, so not sure about that one. Meanwhile, looks like brown is preparing to attack Ironforge, as of course he doesn't know that Ironforge is mostly empty. Not sure what these deaths were actually, so maybe he does know. Meanwhile, it looks like yellow is preparing to attack Ironforge from the top. There's not really much going on at the moment, so maybe we can take a look at the alliance heroes as well. We have Magni for orange, Lane for blue, Sylvanas for green, Daelin for teal, Antonidas for purple, Fowler for grey, and again for Gilneas, as well as the final hero, which is Kurdan for red. So a fairly normal hero squad from the alliance, I would say. Maybe Magni is a bit of a weird choice, but not a particularly strange one. And the Horde is a very strong lineup with two strong caster heroes who are good in the early game. Shogal in particular is an extremely good harasser and sort of sneaky hero killer in the early game, and Maim and Tychondrius, of course, not very good in the early game, but extremely strong in the late game. And looks like the clerics have realized that Ironforge is not defended and are trying to escape, but they're already blocked in by the Legion, and it looks like Ironforge is going to go down rather quickly with an extremely limited defense. Yeah, not much they can do here. We'll see if Magni can teleport out in time, or if he'll sort of die for nothing. Meanwhile, looks like the Horde is beginning to attack Stormwind. And this is a sort of common strategy. The Horde wants to attack several places at the same time, but since no one is actually defending Ironforge, it means that the entire alliance will most likely be concentrating on Stormwind. And indeed, you can see them teleporting in, and you can see that the Horde does a pretty good job regardless, but they're taking some serious AoE damage in these chokes. And Light Blue has already retreated, and which leaves Dark Green. That's the only Horde currently attacking something, and that's not going to go down too well for him. And he sort of realizes and pulls back as well. But yeah, it looks like the Alliance is going to butcher most of these troops, and even Ner'zhul does go down. Meanwhile, however, Ironforge has been lost. I also realized that I actually still have my health bars on, so I'll be turning those off. And, yeah. Let's see how that turns out. Now, I've gotten several requests to do this, which strikes me as a bit perplexing because, of course, I always play with health bars on, so to me the game looks kind of weird without health bars, but I can understand that maybe they're a bit of a unnecessary clutter when you're watching a replay. You know, it looks like the Alliance is healing up all their injured troops and preparing for another assault. And Let's see. So as I mentioned previously, Stromgarde rather is completely undefended as they have sent all their troops to the mountain pass, and you can see there's a massive army here of red and purple and black, well, dark red Gilnean troops and purple and grey and green, so the Horde is gonna have a really tough time breaking through this. However, both Stromgarde and Quel'Thalas are completely undefended, so the Horde could just go and take them out at will. We'll see if they realize this once they start attacking the pass and realize there's an extremely large amount of units there. Well, there's not much going on down at blue, which is a bit peculiar. Looks like there's some light harass going on here from the Alliance. Let's see if all goes down here. Did get silenced, but he'll be able to sneak away as Shogal is not ready to pull him in at the moment. Or is he? Oh, never mind. Well, it looks like yellow is preparing to attack the pass, and it looks like brown is joining up as well, so he'll probably sort of head up north and prepare to attack the top passageway. However, since they did kill or destroy Ironforge rather, the orange player has been relocated to Airy Peak, which means that the mountain pass is even stronger. And you can see here it's already began fortifying this northern choke together with the green player. However, it looks like some Legion units are taking out the green farm. But, I don't think these couple of Felguards will actually be able to take out these towers, and especially the Sunwell Guardian, so green is probably safe for now. Not too much going on at the moment. The dark green player is sort of fortifying his position so he won't be harassed, and I assume they're waiting for the brown players to set up so they can all attack at the same time again. Which is very important, and it does show a well-coordinated Horde, which is always nice. Of course, this replay is saved by an Alliance player, so we can't see the Horde chat, unfortunately. And yeah, yellow is building some towers in this bottom corner of the southern mountain pass, which is a very good strategy as it prevents, or at least limits, Alliance harass and can sort of constantly lure and damage various Alliance units, so very useful. Meanwhile, there's a very large Horde army building up here, perhaps a bit too large as all these units will be packed into these chokes and nuked by AoEs, but if they do break through they can easily flood in, so it's a bit of a weigh in on how many units you actually want to make, and it looks like brown is getting somewhat eager and launching an attack already, and yellow is doing the same. You can see here this massive AoE from Tychondrius, so maybe packing all these units in this path isn't the greatest idea, but it looks like it's working well, and yellow is being driven back, and you can see the Alliance leveling up as they're killing a bunch of Horde units. Meanwhile, in the northern section, it does look like the brown player is there's gotten some kills, but it doesn't look like he'll be breaking through anytime soon. We'll keep an eye on it. This is actually a very good strategy where you can sort of lure the Horde into this portion and they get bombarded by all these Alliance from both sides. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like there's much happening at the south, which is not the best, because usually you want the entire Horde to be attacking at once, and at the moment you can see there are a lot of Alliance up north, even Teal is here. So you'd really want to try and attack blue while the Alliance is distracted up north, but it doesn't look like that's really happening as the southern Horde are content with this harass, which, I mean, 2 towers for 2 air units isn't a great trade, but it does open up the choke a bit, so probably worth it in the long run. Meanwhile, it looks like blue is actually harassing with his catapults and luring in some units and killing them one by one. It looks like maybe yellow has given up on the pass, so he's building a base down here as well, so maybe it will try to sort of do a bait and switch with they start with a heavy attack up at the north and bring all the Alliance there, and then try and swing around and go for a 3-man sudden attack instead. We'll see how it works out. Other than that, there isn't much going on. I can quick look at items. So Lane is starting with a tank item, and Paul is starting with a Helm of Energy, which are both very common builds. Meanwhile, Cho'Gall is getting a tank item. Usually Cho'Gall goes for a more region-heavy build, but this is not unheard of, so we'll see what he makes later. Meanwhile, Ner'zhul also has a Helm of Energy, which is a very good item overall for essentially any caster, and is especially good for Ner'zhul because he can restore the mana of Deathwing, which allows him to do even more AoE damage. Meanwhile, it looks like the Alliance is maneuvering around. The Kurdan also has a Helmet of Energy, and there's some light brown attacks going on here, but I highly doubt he will manage much at the moment, as he is the only player attacking, and indeed you can see that essentially every Alliance player is currently in this location. And we can take a quick look at main. He does have a boost of speed, so, or Elven boots rather, which give movement speed, so no particularly strong items yet. And Sylvanas does have Slippers of Agility, which is a very common green item, and Duke is getting what looks like to be a Wolf Hunter's guise. And Gen as well also has a Runed Brace and a Helm of Energy, so a very common sort of Alliance metagame is to get a lot of Helms of Energy, because they're very useful for restoring mana for the various heroes, as well as these mages with their blizzards. Meanwhile, it looks like Yellow is sort of sneaking over this army this way, and will probably try to attack Blue from behind later. And if you coordinate this with a large Horde attack from the front, you can oftentimes actually manage to snipe the throne with essentially no defenders, so something interesting to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, it looks like the brown player is finally taking out the red farm. Not that it should matter too much, as he has essentially no units. There are some more Legion troops, so maybe they've realized that green at least is completely undefended, and they're sending this minor hit force to take it out. Which at the moment is the only battle that's actually going on, so we'll see how it pans out. Also looks like someone is taking out the red port, which is always good. And Yellow is continuously moving over troops. You can only put 4 units in a Zeppelin at a time, so this takes quite a while to do. And at the same time, looks like Ner'zhul is doing some harass, while some Alliance player at least is healing all these units with the Potion of Regeneration. And meanwhile, Shogal is doing this Rune harass, which is a very obnoxious strategy and hard to deal with, as Shogal, as you can see, is already getting quite tanky. So it's not much Lane can do, because you certainly can't kill Shogal and you can't really drive him off, so you can just stand here and get AoE'd again and again. And you can see he's getting more and more tank items as well. So yeah, a bit of a slow start. Looks like Red has realized that he has plenty of times to build an army, so he's building up. Looks like he's only building knights, so maybe he's going to attempt some sort of a charge, but maybe take out these yellow buildings, or even rush to Blackhawk Spire and then the portal. So about that. Meanwhile, Brown is trying to do some catapult harass, and luring out some units and getting a few free kills is always nice, but looks like some of his died as well, so not really much happening there. Meanwhile, it does look like Yellow is going for Quel'Thalas, but it looks like the Gilnean player is actually teleporting in, and we'll see if Gen here can take out all these units. He probably can if the spell guards do not go for the mages. Yeah, I think the yellow player sort of realized that green was undefended and tried to take him out, but he wasn't expecting this teleport in, and as you can see here, this tiny alliance force is taking out all these units essentially for free. I think one highborn died for maybe, I don't know, 15 yellow units or something, and you can see here again restoring the mana of all his casters. So very nice play by him. At the same time, not much else going on. I'm guessing the Horde is sort of waiting for this army to build up for a giant coordinated attack. Yeah, there's some more harass going on here, but Light Blue is paying attention and is not getting lured. And maybe this Bat Rider will be shot down by these crossbowmen if he's not careful. But yeah, he does manage to escape. More harass going on here, and you see all these Warlocks actually using their Fireball on a Knight here, which I guess can be worth it, as Ner'zhul already has an Arcane Wonder, so he can really restore the mana of his various casters. Yeah, it looks like the Alliance actually noticed this army, so we'll see if they can go and take it out, or if they'll just leave it be for now. And looks like Yellow is attempting to actually take out Green again, so he's sending a bunch of Fellhounds and a bunch of Felguards, and of course this time, again is still here, so if he's not paying attention, he can easily get killed before he sort of realizes what's going on. At the same time, there's more Ner'zhul harass going on, and he has a whole squad of Ogre Magi's and Warlocks, so you can really slow down any hero or even unit that's caught out of position for some easy feeding, and you can see he's constantly drawing the teal player back and forth. Meanwhile, the grey player has realized what Legion is up to and is going in for some harass of his own. This can be quite dangerous as there are a bunch of satyrs here, which are great anti-hero units, but it looks like the yellow player is teleporting away, so he wasn't really paying attention. And indeed, he's going for Quel'Thalas, and with Tychondius here and some Doom Guards, it looks like he'll be carving down the defenders. And Shogal is here as well as Kurdan, but in this scenario it looks like the Horde will be able to overpower the Alliance, and again he's forced to flee away. Or maybe he won't be managed actually, we'll see. I'm not sure what he's doing, he probably could have ran up here and then teleported away safely. Instead he chose to go down and sort of throw his life away. So yeah, that's the end of Quel'Thalas. This is a bit of a questionable choice, because it does give the entire Horde item points and the gold when they destroy Quel'Thalas, but it does also mean that Gwyn gets his refugee over here, which means he can constantly build units and reinforce the mountain pass even more. However, it does quite limit his food to, I don't know, 20 I believe, yeah, so he can't build any more units at the moment. Meanwhile, the Alliance is continuously harassing, but it looks like Antonidas got a bit reckless and gets cut down by Maim. Which is something you want to avoid, because, well, it gives you Horde player experience, which actually makes the hero a lot stronger. You can see here Brown is actually killing his own wounded units so they won't die easily and feed the Alliance item points. He's also got enough Starlight Treads, which is a good item, which gives you movement speed as well as being able to teleport around with 10 units instead of the normal 5, as well as a bunch of stats. So it's a nice item for essentially any hero. It looks like, meanwhile, Ner'zhul is continuously harassing Teal and the sort of upper gate of Stormwind. Meanwhile, the bottom one is reasonably quiet. Looks like every single unit actually has full hit points, so Shogal is being a bit unattentive and not really doing much. You can see he's gotten his first unique item, but he's only level 4 at almost 20 minutes into the game, which usually not ideal. And you can see Ner'zhul is level 7, and let's see, Maim is also level 7, so that's quite a difference. Meanwhile, Stromgarde is still mostly empty. It looks like Kurdan died somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I'm guessing he tried some sort of harass, maybe down here or down here somewhere, and got taken out. You can see that the yellow player still is constantly moving these units over. And yeah, it looks like a whole bunch of teal riflemen died here, so this Ner'zhul harass is actually doing quite well. Meanwhile, there's something going on over here. I'm not sure how he got here, but he's getting cut down by these brown units, maybe. Looks like all these mages will go down, but all these units take a lot of damage, and yeah, you can see again he's getting some quite nice experience, and he actually is on the same level as several of the Horde heroes already, which is generally not something you want to see from the Horde perspective, but Maim is a very powerful duelist hero, and he sort of bleed slows down Alliance heroes, so you can defeat Gen with no problems. Meanwhile, since Maim is busy elsewhere, the Alliance is actually moving out and taking out these forward Horde bases. Which generally not something that the Horde likes to see. It's kind of obnoxious. However, this makes the Horde realize that the Alliance is busy, or at least so you would think. And it looks like they're launching a sort of massive attack, but maybe they're just moving around. Yeah, we'll see. Meanwhile, the Alliance is taking out all these units, and I'm not sure where they're going next. Maybe they'll try to retake these bridges, or something like that. Maybe they're just looking for extra units for some free item points. You can see here Teal is reinforcing the northern gate with another set of musketeers, and looks like Dark Green is preparing to attack as he's constantly edging closer and closer to the gate. It looks like Light Blue is doing the same. So maybe Yellow has finally moved over enough troop, and the Horde is sort of deciding that now is the time to take out Stormwind. And indeed, the Yellow players are moving up. However, the Alliance has brought up some of their ships, and this is a very precarious situation for the Horde to be in, as they're blocked up by the Alliance and constantly being bombarded by these ships, as well as this normal Alliance AoE. So we'll see how that works out, but at the same time the Horde is attacking every single gate, so the Stormwind is being set up for a very unusual sort of triple point attack, which not something you see very often, but it can be very potent, as he does a very good job of spreading all the Alliance heroes. And at the same time, it looks like Brown is actually, I'm not sure what this is, some sort of peon attack, I guess. has built a base in the corner and is trying a sneak attack as he knows that the entire alliance is busy down at Stormwind, but it doesn't have shoot much, and you can see here that the dark green player is getting completely massacred, and there's a massive pile, I guess, of orcish bodies, and you can sort of see there Magni using his ultimate for the suicidal mortar zappers, but the sudden enemy looks like maybe Lightroom will be able to punch through. He's lifted some ogres on the wall, but it does seem like the blue player will hold, so this attack didn't work out too well, although all these riflemen did go down again, and looks like yellow is moving over a second squad. So maybe you feel like their back here is fairly weak, and indeed it is. There's some lost Doomguard being cleared up, but other than that there's only a few heroes and a single knight defending the back, and looks like all these heroes are teleporting out, so presumably there's another attack going on up at the pass somewhere. And indeed it looks like they're trying to take out the brown base again, but with Main here and the brown player building up troops, it's very difficult to take out the Horde in this sort of open field battles. And Main in particular has an extremely strong cleave ultimate, so if you're not careful you can sort of get around and really cut all these units up. But it looks like he's trying to go for an offensive attack instead, and while Maim is dying in the pass, these units might be able to push up and take out the Horde base. At the same time, however, it looks like there's another attack going on, and this time Yellow is going in the conventional way, and with Tychundrus being able to cut up all these units without any alliance heroes to bring him down, looks like the Horde will finally break the upper gate at Stormwind, and indeed the alliance is pulling back, and this should mean that they're pulling back at the bottom as well, but there's a strange massive troll army here, which is being driven back at the moment. However, Tychundrus is going for the second attack on the later tier of Stormwind, but this time there's a bunch of heroes and a bunch of mages and a whole squad of Courtier Musketeers who bring him down with their grenade abilities. And he falls, but not before he managed to pull blue out from the bottom left, and this allows dark green and the light blue players to stream in. And these types of retreats from the Alliance are often very messy and disorganized, and indeed their defense is this strange rainbow-colored blob where all the units are sort of standing around blocking each other, and you have melee units at the front, and or rather we have melee units in the back and wizards at the front, and all sort of weird stuff going on. And third, I'm getting some nice AoE on these range units. However, it does look like the Alliance is taking quite a beating at the moment, and if the Horde is managing to push on with all these trolls mowing down the Alliance units, it might be that Stormwind will finally fall. And there's still quite a few Alliance heroes missing, so I assume they're busy up in the north. We'll check that out real quickly, and Blue did nicely close his gates here before the Horde could take out the lever, which is very nice as it separates the Horde units and traps Shogal on the inside and leaves Tychundrus stuck on the outside, so very nice play by him, and you can see Shogal gets focused down by Sylvanas and a bunch of ballistas as well as a stew of random Alliance units. So real quick up here just to see nothing happening, nothing going on. So it looks like the entire Horde is currently focusing on Stormwind. Bit of a miscontrol here as the units are not actually attacking the gate. But with the southern gate open and Tychundrus in the front again, they might be able to pour in. Tychundrus in particular is not very tanky at this moment, but he deals a lot of damage. If the Alliance really has to pay attention or he will really demolish their army, but it looks like the Green player is doing a good job at taking him out with his ballistas, so he's forced to retreat for now. Yeah, looks like Nessulus here is ready for some AoE. You see here he's using his new unique item, which is a lightning stave, which is a very useful item for a caster. Especially if you combine it with your normal Q, and he also summons Deathwing for some extra damage. And yeah, the Horde has been really passive for the early parts of the game, which probably means there are quite a lot of gold stored up, and you can see they're constantly streaming in more and more units. I'm not sure with all that, but you can see that it looks like the Horde is finally breaking through, and the Alliance heroes are forced to retreat as the Horde is massacring all their units. However, it looks like some Alliance players teleporting in, so maybe whoever this is can turn the tide. And it is Kurdan, and he does have a lot of AoE, both himself and his mages here, but unfortunately for him it looks like they're being cut down by these augurs, or smashed, I suppose I should say. Yeah, Kurdan does get some nice AoE in, but this is definitely the end of Stormwind. As you can see, there's several heroes here, and only Kurdans are limping away. Yeah, not sure what's going on here. You can see here it's still red on the minimaps. I'm not sure why it's not updating, but yeah, I'll try to keep an eye on it anyways. And the lane got sort of stuck down here in the corner and eventually taken out. Yeah, again, there's a bit of a downtime at the moment as the Horde is not really ready to attack anywhere else as they're taking down Stormwind. And yeah, I'll see if I can find something interesting to talk about in the meanwhile. I assume there will be a rather large naval engagement as the entire Horde is ready to go Navy, and the Alliance probably has a lot of gold saved up as they haven't really been doing much most of this game. You can see, well, actually, Gilneas only has 3,000, and let's see, Teal only has 2,000, so maybe there won't be much of a naval battle after all.
Job's done.
Let's see, yeah. I'm not sure why Maine is dead, so apparently he has been fighting somewhere. Oh, not sure about that one, but the pass is still extremely well fortified, so I doubt it will be breaking anytime soon, and I'm not sure what these crossbowmen have been doing. Maybe they were hunting down a worker or something. But yeah, so you can see here that the purple player is scouting the Horde port, and he sees that the Horde players are preparing to navy. And indeed you see the Legion player is building a bunch of shipyards, and the dark green player is building a bunch of shipyards, and the light blue player is building a pig farm, so and building more peons. He's probably going to build a bunch of shipyards as well, and then a bunch of ships. Meanwhile, you can see that all over the map there's Alliance ships streaming down across the map, and there's ships coming in from Lordaeron and Hillspread and Gilneas and even Quel'Thalas, as well as, of course, Kultiras itself.
I can't build that.
So what usually happens, and what looks like will happen in this case as well, is that the Alliance would amass all their ships at this point, or at least most of them, and the Horde does the same here, and then these both navies sort of smash into each other, and better fleet wins. Now, Kurdan is a bit of a unique hero in the sense that he's the only hero that can actually fly and go out over the sea and directly contribute to the naval fight. There are a few others like Duke, but he's not chosen in this game, so Dalen was sitting here on the shore and, you know, provide moral support for his navy, I guess. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of navies going on. You can see this is probably going to be the main naval battle, so we'll keep an eye on it, but you can see there's another naval battle going on over here with the green and the blue players matching up against what looks like the brown fleet. So let's see what happens here, because Kurdan is very low, and while he does good AoE damage, these ships can easily bring him down if he's not paying attention, and indeed he does get shot down there as he's trying to move in for a massive AoE attack. These types of battles are always a bit curious, as they do provide a massive amount of item points, especially if one side sort of wins overwhelmingly, but it looks to be a bit of a slog with the Alliance line sort of extending and surrounding the Horde one, so we'll see what happens here. It's and usually large naval battle, as the players indeed point out. Every single player is currently massing navy in some capacity at the moment, except for, well, I guess purple is here too with his air units, and you can see the Alliance heroes on the shore here trying to use their AoE abilities to contribute a bit more, which is very useful. And you can see Gen here is actually using his armor buff on, which actually works on ships as well as on himself, so he can soak up a lot of damage here and buff all the ships as well. However, the Horde is really building a massive navy, and it looks like they will be eventually able to push the Alliance back and circle them and take out all these forts and these air units. Meanwhile, however, it does look like the Alliance has a naval victory in the north, and they're moving down towards the port with the blue navy as well as some submarines. And if the Horde is not careful, the Alliance can take out these forts and then circle their navy from this side and take them out. You can see Antonidas actually using his water elemental and walking it out on sea, which is a fairly recent feature, but one you very rarely see. And the water elemental does go down very easily to ships, so it's not particularly great strategy either, but it can be useful sometimes, and if it's a really flush battle, it can turn the tide. You see here there's a Horde transport, so Ner'zhul looks like he's ready to land as soon as he gets a chance. He has to be careful though, as there's a lot of Alliance heroes here, and they can easily take down Ner'zhul, especially since he only has a few warlocks with him. Not even a builder, so yeah, the naval battle is still raging on, and there's some ship here, but nothing in it. But it does look like the Horde is gaining the upper hand, and they will be able to take down the Alliance fleet eventually. Meanwhile, there's not much going on at the pass. The Horde has sort of correctly figured out that it's heavily fortified, and they're deciding to move around it by winning the naval battle instead. You can see here that Gen has taken a lot of damage from all these various ships, and he's very tanky at this moment with a breastplate of Lightbinder and the Essence of Asun, as well as his own innate healing and armor box. So he can take a lot of Horde firepower, which is essentially wasted in a naval battle, since it all goes to him instead. But at this point, the Horde is definitely won this naval battle at least, and the Alliance heroes rather are forced to retreat. Also, it does seem to be a bit of a frigate shortage, as these air units are getting some free kills. Meanwhile, looks like this fort is also secured by the Horde and sort of driven the Alliance fleet back, although these 4 ships have sort of gone on a different path and get taken out. We'll see what Mame is doing, so it looks like he's preparing to ship somewhere as well, and he has brought peons, so he's definitely going to be building a forward base somewhere. Meanwhile, the Horde has secured this southern beach, at least from a naval perspective, and they're sending all their ships north, and they will probably try to take out the Gilnean port and take out Hillsbrad, and maybe even take out this port with Lordaeron and the Dwarven port, and really secure their naval dominance. So yeah, there's not too much going on at the moment, as the Horde is probably preparing to land and secure the rest of the fleet, so I'll try and look over the various items again. Now, Tychonius did die somewhere, I'm not sure where, maybe he was in a transport and sunk or something. Actually, it looks like he was actually attacking Stromgarden and got taken out, but maybe he was alone or something, because it doesn't seem to be that many corpses here, and the Alliance did manage to defend even though Stromgarde was initially entirely undefended. Looks like Magni is teleporting somewhere, we'll see where he goes. So yeah, they're definitely correctly realizing that the Horde is very likely to move on Kultiras, and they are doing so. And these sort of beach invasions can be very difficult for the Horde, especially if the Alliance has managed to aim down these workers, which are quite sensitive, squishy rather, and easily killed by heroes. But with Mame and Ner'zhul and all these warlocks and a bunch of ogres guarding the workers, it should be a fine landing. And indeed, the Horde even gets some free kills as the Alliance is trying to retreat. Meanwhile, there's not much else going on. We'll see what the heroes have. So Foul is getting an Arcane Wonder as well as hit points items, which helps him with his mana as well as his healing. Lane is getting tanking items and attack speed items, so he will be a really good melee fighter in the later stages of the game. And Kurdan's teleporting away, but he probably has tanking items and mana items as well. So yeah, he does have an Arcane Wonder and a Stone Path. And Dalin also has a Stone Path as well as a Wolf Hunter's Guise, so he's also going to be a scary fighter in the later game. And meanwhile, you see Gen here has a Lightbinder and the Essence of Asun as well as a Helm of Energy, so a fairly normal build as well. And let's see what Mame has. The Mame has Starlight Trait, as I talked about before, as well as the Blood Moon Plate, which is a great agility item overall. And it looks like Cho'Gall, who's still only level 6, which lagging behind the various sword heroes for some reason. He's getting a bunch of shields as well as a Stone Path. Nice items from him as well. He's getting really tanky and he's getting quite good regen as well as the ability to block magic. And Ner'zhul is getting a Arcane Wonder and a Lightning Stave as well as a Journey's End, which is actually a surprisingly good item on Ner'zhul, even though it doesn't have any sort of very long cooldowns. Well, I guess it does enable you to bring Deathwing back if you die somehow, but it also refreshes the cooldown of your items, so it's a very nice sort of chain combo he can do. It looks like the Alliance is preparing for another naval defense, but this time the Horde is vastly outnumbering them, and this will most likely be a massacre. See here, there's some random air units trying to bring down the Horde Navy as well. And you can see that almost every single Alliance player has a port here. It's a bit of a curious strategy and can work out well, but I don't think, even with all these ports, they won't be able to produce ships fast enough to take on this Horde Navy. However, the air units are taking out the last frigates here, and the Alliance is churning out submarines, and if the Horde is not careful, a few submarines can kill all these units essentially for free. Which is extremely unfortunate for the Horde. However, there are a bunch of frigates here, so maybe that won't happen. And some unfortunate majors here being taken out by the Horde ships. But the Horde is taking an unusually large amount of losses from all these submarines, which is definitely not great for them. And if they only move these frigates over here, they would easily kill all these submarines. It looks like they're doing that now, so. But I think these submarines have already sort of paid for themselves. Meanwhile, there's another attack going on at Stromgarde, which unfortunately I did miss most of, and Looks like Yellow is cutting down most of the defenders, and you can see that he also it's a very apt strategy, I suppose, of using the Unholy Frenzy on the Succubi on Tychondrius, which gives him even more attack speed and really enables him to shred things. Now the red player did close his gate, but unfortunately he did close it on the wrong side, but looks like Antonidas can run around in circles for long enough for Sylvanas and Kurdan to take down Tychondrius. However, looks like Lane was stuck on the outside, so he's in a lot of trouble and will probably go down soon, and looks like another Horde hero, presumably main. Yes, indeed, he's teleporting in, and you see here Lane does go down, and Sylvanas get dragged from the hill by Cho'Gall and easily taken out. So yeah, that's one of the main strengths of Cho'Gall, is his ability to drag, especially squishy alliance heroes from sort of distances where you're not expecting it, and surround them with the rest of his army and kill them. However, Kurdan and Antonidas is doing some great AoE damage, and they're taking down all these Horde castles, which gives them great item points and experience, but they can't really take out the Horde heroes, and they do pour in and eventually overrun Stromgarde. Which was mostly undefended anyway, so... Although it has used all its gold, presumably on the navy, so... But yeah, a valiant defense nevertheless, and 4 bases left and 24 minutes. The Horde is definitely quite far behind on schedule compared to what you would expect in a normal game, that the Horde is going to win in the end. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, not too much going on again, as every single Horde hero was at Stromgarde, and they're probably going to need some time to set up another attack, but it doesn't look like they're going for the pass again, as they have never rebuilt a base outside any of the entrances, and it looks like landing on Hillspread as well as attacking Kultiras will be the next focus of the Horde. Now Kultiras has been left alone for some time after the naval battle and has managed to build a decent amount of defenders, as well as blocking up the choke with these cannon towers. Deal also has a lot of item points, so presumably is saving for some unique and buying it at once. Which, generally speaking, is not a good idea. Like, there's no drawback to simply buying the various constituents parts instead, and you can see here does eventually buy a silver blade, so good on him. Alright, let's see. It looks like Brown is landing on Gilneas, so maybe he's trying to do some sneak attack while the Alliance is preparing at Kultiras, or even expecting a pass attack. And it does look like dark green and yellow, or maybe setting up for a pass-oriented feign while the Horde sweeps in from the south. So we'll try and keep an eye on all these bases at once. And it does look like the Horde Navy is finally taking out the lost Alliance ports, at least on the Western Sea, and that's probably the end of the Alliance Navy, although there are some Elven ships still sneaking around. Now, when your throne, or in this case the Sunwell, has been destroyed, the Alliance faction can only build a fairly limited amounts of ships, so this is essentially everything the Elven player can build, even though he probably has a substantial amount of gold. He can't build any more ships until these are taken out. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Looks like the Horde is still building ships. Maybe they saw these ships and got worried. But it looks like Brown is preparing to attack Gilneas. Now Gilneas does have a lot of knights, so we see what will happen here. You can see that Main is using both his ultimate and his damage boosting passive, or his damage boosting active rather. And he will really cut up all these knights, but it does look like the Alliance is teleporting in, and Main is getting powerful, but he probably can't destroy all of these units by himself at this point. And he has some units of his own streaming in, but he does manage to take down Antonidas, and maybe he'll take down Foul as well. But Foul is actually surprisingly tanky, and he does realize and tries to block this teleport instead, but unfortunately for him he does fail, and the alien pops in and hunts him down and drives him away. Now he does have a few towers here, so he'll probably manage to escape. Meanwhile, let's see, it looks like Yellow is actually landing all the way behind Lordaeron, so the Alliance has to be really careful. He can easily sneak into Dalaran, or maybe even sneak into Lordaeron, but it does look like the Alliance have noticed and they're abandoning the path to secure their hometowns instead, and you can see here about Dalaran and the Lordaeron players retreating, as well as the various Alliance additional units, and they're even destroying their own towers, so these units can escape, and reinforcing the hometown net. It might look like they're trying to defend this pass as well, which normally is a good strategy if the Horde is landing here, and they did do that and take out Hillspread. But with the Legion landing over here, it's extremely dangerous if you're not careful and you get sort of caught out by a Horde flank. Meanwhile, Maim is still attacking Gilneas together with the Legion Air Force. Not sure where they came from, as the Legion doesn't have a base anywhere nearby, so maybe they flew all the way. But yeah, Maim is smacking down the gates, and at this stage of the game, you can probably easily fleet through all these units if the Alliance is not doing a good job of focusing them. And both Gen and Foul are great heroes, but they're not particularly good at bringing down Horde heroes. Meanwhile, it does look like there's some harass going on here. Not sure what's happening here. Looks like they tried to go for Ner'zhul maybe, but they didn't quite get him, as he can hide in the transport, and Sylvanas and Lane are forced to retreat. And indeed, this sort of path defense is being attacked from behind as these units presumably just ran past the path defenders, and this red worker has to be careful as his strong guard has fallen and he cannot rebuild him if he does go down. Maybe he'll be able to sneak out, and it looks like he will for the moment. Unless he gets caught by these yellow troops who are also on the move, and they did take out the grey farm. Lordran, however, is well defended, and as you can see here, the main players managed to cut down most of the Gilnean defenders, and he's really doing a good job. He's very low though, and it does look like the Alliance defenders will manage to take him out, or at least driving away with a nice slow there from Gen and a final exorcism from Paul. They do take him out. But Gilneas is severely crippled, and meanwhile the Legion players are attacking Lordaeron. And again, much like Main, Tychonius is extremely strong if it's not focused properly, and you can see here it's really demolishing all these Alliance units, and there isn't really much Paul can do about it. And if he's not careful, the Horde can interrupt his teleport, but it looks like Tychonius is not paying attention. But he's doing a really good job, and with his passive, every time he kills a unit, he gains a portion of their health, and as you can see, he's been eating up all these Alliance units, and he's still at full health. And if the Alliance is not careful, he'll essentially destroy Lordaeron more or less by himself for free. So yeah, that's quite unfortunate for the Alliance, and this gate, however, was close on time, and it is preventing the Legion from pouring in, but every single defender is dead. However, the Grey player does have some units left, so maybe he can mount sort of a second defense on at the back end of Lordaeron. Meanwhile, it does look like the Alliance actually abandoned this location and retreated into Dalaran, which is a wise choice. Now, this is a bit of a strange tower placement, as they will very easily be taken out by catapults or even Ner'zhul, so that's probably not going to work out too well. And meanwhile, Maim is back at Gilneas and is doing a good job at cutting down all these units, and once this tower goes down, he will be able to cut off all these the rest of the Alliance defenders. You can see here he's going for this injured Magni and taking him down, and he'll probably chop off all these mages in quick succession. There are a bunch of Gilnean knights here, but I don't think Gen will be able to duel Maim, and this is probably the end of Gilneas, and yeah, especially with Ner'zhul here, so we'll move up to Lordaeron and see what's going on. You can see Titch is still on the move, but he did eventually go down, and without a hero, these Legion units are forced to retreat as they cannot take down the Grey defenders. And you can see Foul here using his ultimate, which heals every single Alliance here on the map. So Lordaeron looks like they've survived the attack for now, but Gilneas is probably dead. Yeah, that's Gen dying, and that's the end of Gilneas. Meanwhile, it looks like Dark Green and Light Blue are preparing to attack Dalaran, and it looks like Shogal has gotten a Starlight Treads as well. Meanwhile, let's see. Yeah, so Kurdan's getting a Lightning Stave, and Foul is getting more and more tank items, as well as regeneration item, as well as Starlight Treads, so pretty good build, I think. Very useful for sort of clutch healing Alliance heroes, and then just regaining the health loss, because the way Foul's heal works is that he damages himself in order to heal an ally. Meanwhile, we have Antonidas with 2 caster items as well, so very standard. Bit surprised that he doesn't have an energy helmet or an arcane wonder, which is a very strong item for Antonidas, but especially since he has a lot of casters to restore mana to, but maybe there's so many of them on the Alliance that he doesn't feel that he needs them. Meanwhile, let's see, Maim is getting quite powerful as well, with 4 uniques and 2 rare items, and he's got a good mix of tanking and sort of utility items, as well as damage items and various agility items, so he's becoming really powerful now, and if the Alliance doesn't do a good job of cutting him down, he can easily run away with the game and cut down a whole bunch of Alliance units and heroes, essentially for free. Not sure, oh yeah, he teleported to Dalaran, and we'll see what happens there. So yeah, we're 16 minutes into the game, we only have 2 bases left, and could Tears did go down at some point. Not sure if I covered that, can't remember. But yeah, it's starting to look quite scary for the Alliance. And yeah, looks like yellow is preparing to attack Lordaeron, while dark green and light blue are preparing for Dalaran. There's a lot of towers in Dalaran actually. You can see that green has managed to save his worker and put him in somewhere, and blue has done the same as well as Gilneas. So there's quite a bunch of towers here, and towers are very effective at sort of blocking off the Horde, as they count as buildings and as such are not prioritized by the unit AI, which can cause all sorts of strange issues, especially in tight chokes like this one. It looks like Kurdan here is coming in for a massive AoE harass, and however he's not taking quite a bit of damage, and indeed Ner'zhul actually managed to focus him down with his passive debuff, which slows and damages heroes over time. And this is the main assault, and you can see there's a lot of Alliance heroes teleporting in as well as the Horde, and you can see Maim has popped his ultimate and is really shutting down, but this tower is really blocking him. We'll see how he manages to move on to the softer heroes, hero units rather than cut him down, and he does a good job at it, but the Alliance is focusing him down, and it looks like he will go down rather quickly, but he does manage to cut down a few more units. Meanwhile, this sort of main assault is going on at the gate, and you have Cho'Gall and Ner'zhul sitting in the back and spamming out their spells and AoEs, while Antonidas is trying to counter it with his heals. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of pinging going on, so presumably there's an attack going on Lordaeron as well. You can see here that Magni sort of snuck out and is sending all his mortars to an attack, but unfortunately it does go down for it. Meanwhile, at Lordaeron, it looks like the Alliance is teleporting up, and this is a precarious situation because if you're not careful, Tychondrius or Maim can easily sort of destroy an entire base by himself, so you really need to be on point with your boss and more anti-hero damage. But in this case, it doesn't look like Tychondrius will accomplish too much, as Sylvanas is sort of taking him down unmolested, and with him down, all these heroes are dead. It looks like Lordaeron survives yet another attack. Meanwhile, there's still a battle raging on at the front gates of Dalaran. You can see there's a whole pile of corpses here after Maim charged in, as well as a sort of graveyard of Horde units here, and the Alliance heroes are actually charging out, which is not a particularly good idea. So you can see Dalen here almost gets taken out by Ner'zhul. You can see Dalen as well has gotten a bronze sword, so he's going really heavily on the damage, which combined with his ultimate stiff drink, which really boosts his damage and movement speed, enables him to really cut down Horde units and heroes if they're not paying attention. However, he's fairly squishy and it can be aimed down fairly well by casters like Ner'zhul or especially Cho'Gall.
Our forces are under attack.
Let's see what's going on here. Looks like the Alliance realized that with Tychondrius dead and no towers, the Legion player can't really defend his base, and they've chosen to do a counter-attack. Alright, some Horde heroes teleporting in, and it's Maim, who, as previously mentioned, does have Starlight Tread, so he brings in a lot of units, and some nice control by the Horde here to slow down Kurdan, but he's very tanky at this point, and he might be able to escape as soon as this runs out. He can go back to his flying form and go out of the ocean, or the lake rather. And looks like Maim is trying to chase down Sylvanas, but with the sorcerer slowing him, he doesn't quite manage. And you can see here he's popping his ultimate, I guess, and he's cleaving down these units, and he's going for Sylvanas again. Now, Maim does have a passive that slows anything he hits. You can see here Sylvanas bleeding out and being slow, so it looks like he might be able to cut her down before she manages to escape. She did try and heal herself with her healing potion, but it wasn't quite enough, and she does go down, and that probably means that Maim can take out all these units for free if they're not careful. Meanwhile, it looks like the Horde is preparing for another assault, and even Tychondrius is joining in here, so maybe we'll try a full-out attack on Dalaran, and that wave harass from Antonidas is actually really annoying for the Horde, and does a lot of damage, and it's hard to stop. I'm not sure if they got lured or if this was their planned attack, but they're sending everything in, and Tychondrius has gotten a glacial shield, so he's immune to magic as well as really cutting up all these units. And Tychondrius has also gotten a cleaver, so he has a natural splash on his spells as well as a cleaver, so he can really cut off Alliance units, and of course, as mentioned previously, he also heals every time he kills a unit, so it's a very strong combination. And yeah, it looks like the Alliance is losing the outer part of Dalaran and the Horde is streaming in. However, Gen is sort of plugging up the gap at the moment, and it looks like Ner'zhul has gotten himself foolishly trapped and he does go down. And with Orange coming in with his ultimate here, they might be able to reclaim this outer region. Yeah, looks like Tychondrius is finally going down. Tychondrius, especially with a build like this, is very good at taking out large numbers of units, but it's not that good at taking out heroes, so he does manage to sort of cut down all the Alliance units, but with only heroes left to hit, he's not doing too well, and indeed he does manage to... He almost manages to take out Magni, but he does die for it, and Magni actually survives. And with several Horde heroes dead, the Alliance is actually pushing out yet again. And it seems like the Horde has chosen not to build any towers, and if you don't have any towers in the late game, it's very hard to sort of hold back these alliance heroes harassing you. As you can see here, Cho'Gall is forced to run away. Bit of a strange item there with a sun skill, not sure what that's about, but it does give health and armor, I guess. But yeah, he's a bit brave, so he goes back into the fight, which was not a great choice, and he does go down for it. And this is an extremely sort of disastrous situation for the Horde, as all of these alliance heroes are killing a massive amount of Horde units essentially for free, and this really feeds them item points and experience. So you really don't want this to happen. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Looks like Lane is surrounded. Okay, you can see a heal from Foul there brings him up to full hit points again. And it's a very powerful ability from the Foul hero, especially in the late game, but looks like Lane is really choosing to stay in there, and oh, never mind, he did get out. Not sure what happened here. Looks like Mame sort of snuck in at the back, maybe used a Zeppelin, and he's really cutting up all these purple units. And at this point, Mame is getting more and more dangerous, and every time he does this, he kills a whole bunch of units and gets even more item points, which makes him even stronger. And you can see here he's actually doing a pretty good job at cutting down Gen, who is a very strong and tanky hero in his own right. And yeah, with this, it looks like the Alliance is forced to retreat, and the Horde is pouring in, and they're taking the outer gates of Dalaran again, and Mame does slap down the generator, so the shield falls in the outer region. This is a bit unfortunate. The Dalaran Air Force is not being microed properly, and it does go down. Now, air units, especially from the Alliance, are very powerful and can really bother the Horde, but they're also expensive, and more important, they give a lot of experience and item points if they do go down, so that's sort of feeding them like that. It's not something you want to do. However, you see all these trolls here getting blasted by various AoE spells, as well as constantly dying from the Dalaran aura, so some nice moves on both sides. Meanwhile, looks like Cho'Gall is stuck on the front again, and he has to be careful. He does use his magic shield as well as his life grip, so looks like he will be able to escape. However, Mame is charging forth, and spending time hitting Lane is not ideal for Mame, but it's not terrible either, as it's really good damage against both units and heroes, and he's even gotten an Amani throwing axe, which reduces the armor of anything he hits, as well as a silver blade, which allows him to do critical damage. Meanwhile, there's something going on over here. Looks like the yellow player is attacking Area Peak, and indeed looks like Tychunders have been going at it alone, and that spells the end of the dwarves for sure. We'll go back to Dalaran, where the real battle seems to be going on. Magni does go down as well to Ner'zhul, I think, so the Alliance is really losing a lot of heroes for nothing here, and they need to be careful, but if they do take down Cho'Gall, it might be able to sort of stop the Horde assault for now. Looks like Lane is going at it on his own, and with no Horde heroes here to really deal with him, he can really cleave up all these these Horde units. You can see there's a bunch of trolls and spellcasters dying all over the place from his cleave. Meanwhile, Ner'zhul is doing some harass on the bottom side, and he is still fairly safe, so maybe he can take out, but he needs to be careful, or all these Alliance heroes can probably take him out quite easily. And indeed, it does look like, yeah, he looks like he's basically surrounded, and the Alliance should take him out here. Yeah, he does go down. And again, without hero support from the Horde, the Alliance can really run around and destroy all these Horde units, essentially for free, and it looks like they're paying attention and preventing the Horde from even building these watchtowers. So yeah, a bit of a Horde massacre here, and not great for them, and as the Horde is starting to run low on time, they definitely need to shape up their style, or the Alliance can easily run away with the game here as they sort of snowball and get stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, there's something going on here. Looks like, not sure what these knights were doing. Maybe they're trying to take out these buildings or something, but yellow is attacking Lordaeron. However, it does look like the Alliance is noticing and they're teleporting in. Several heroes, you see Gen here and Sylvanas here, and I'm not sure what this is. And yeah, Foul himself is actually late, and then we have Magni as well, so I don't think that Congress will be able to do much here, but yeah, especially with Sylvanas, she can easily sort of take him out. But it looks like it looks like Mame actually is teleporting in at the top, and with both these heroes here, the Alliance need to be really careful, especially if Mame can sort of take out Sylvanas here. And he's really trying, and Sylvanas is trying to run away, but she's nowhere to go, and with her down, and Tychunders and Mame sort of still unsafe, they can probably take out most of these units without too much issue. You can see here Magni is trying to use his ultimate, but it's not really... Magni's ultimate is extremely powerful at taking down units, but it doesn't really do that much against high-level heroes at this stage of the game. And yeah, you can see that Mame and Tychunders are running amok and cutting down all these units and squishy heroes, as well as enabling these legion units to pour in, and that is starting to look like the end of Lordaeron. Meanwhile, there's a massive attack going on at Dalaran. with the Cho'Gall, and presumably yeah, Ner'zhul is here as well, and the Alliance defenders are actually charging out, so they need to be really careful here. Meanwhile, it looks like the Lordron defenders might actually manage to stabilize. Looks like Maim is dead and Tychondrius is the only Horde hero left. Now he will be able to defeat Balin, I think, but Gen and Kurdan should be able to deal with him. Although with his passive healing, it's not entirely sure. Let's see who's teleporting in here, maybe they can sort of turn the tide. And it's Lane, so... yeah, he does a good job at fighting Tychondrius, and I'm not sure if he's attacking the heroes or if he's attacking the throne, but that looks like the end of Tychondrius for sure. So yeah, looks like the Lordron will survive yet again, and meanwhile there's a battle raging on in... not sure how or Cho'Gall got all the way in there, but he actually managed to teleport out again, so... no strangeness going on there, and there's still a lot of Alliance defense all the way out here, which is not ideal. It looks like Cho'Gall will be able to cut him down with his, with the help of his ogre friends here as well as a Bloodwing. Meanwhile, Ner'zhul and Deathwing is really bringing in the hurt and demolishing a large part of the Alliance units. However, it looks like Sylvanas is on the hunt for Ner'zhul, and it looks like she doesn't manage to take him down, but Gen and Lane does. And without Ner'zhul here and Deathwing going down as well, it looks like this attack will peter out eventually. We'll see if they'll manage to take down Cho'Gall as well. He's getting really tanky, especially with this kind of strange build here, but he might be able to escape, so it's kind of dangerous. He does actually take down Kurdan, so maybe Kurdan wasn't expecting Cho'Gall to fight back. And yeah, meanwhile, looks like there's another attack going on at Lordaeron. I don't see. Oh, my Maim is here in the back, and this is looking pretty dangerous for the Horde defenders, or the Alliance defenders, because Maim has activated his ultimate, and he's really cleaving up all these units. You can see here he's hitting this mage and probably killing him with one hit. Yeah. This is actually extremely dangerous. You can see he's really cutting through all these units, and Cleave actually ignores armor as well as things like evasion and so on, so it's very good at cutting down Alliance heroes. And you can see a Foul trying to kill Sylvanas, but she's very squishy and Maim takes him out anyways, but maybe she has dealt enough damage so that Maim can take out the rest of the Alliance on his own, and indeed he does go down yet again. However, Tychondrius is here as well, not sure where he came from. Maybe he hit that Fellhound down here and then teleported in. I'm not sure if he will be able to take this on all by himself, but it's definitely close at this point. You can see he's activated his Glacial, which makes him immune to magic, and every time he kills something he's healing up and he's cutting down more and more Alliance units and making himself stronger and stronger. But something stunned him there, probably Magnet, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to take it out quite yet. He should really kill this builder, as Warnish can't rebuild him, but unfortunately he does go down. And with only a few units here, the Alliance will usually clean it up. Meanwhile, there's still a battle going on at Dalaran, and as the Alliance has realized that the attack on Lordron is ceased for now, they're teleporting down. You can see Cho'Gall here on the front again with his glacial skill activated. Now Cho'Gall is an extremely strong hero, he's very good at killing other heroes, but in this extreme late game, his spells don't really do that much damage to heroes anymore, and it becomes harder and harder to kill heroes with Cho'Gall. In addition, he's also somewhat low level compared to the other Horde heroes, so I'm not sure what's going on there, and as you can see, he's actually lower level than several of the Alliance heroes. Yeah, and you can see yet again the Alliance is having a field there and really cutting down all these hero-less units, as well as even taking out Cho'Gall here, who's unfortunately trapped at this ramp yet again. And yeah, and you can see here the Alliance is doing a good job at cutting down all these essentially lone Horde units, and this is a very problematic strategy from the Horde, as it does keep the Alliance occupied, but you do feed a lot of item points and experience every single time you do this, and if you're not careful you can reach a point where the Alliance is essentially beating you using only their heroes. And yeah, we'll see, they're actually doing a really good job here trying to aim down Sylvanas with their units, but it doesn't look that they'll manage, and the Alliance is constantly pushing the Horde out and massacring all these poor units that can't really deal with heroes, although they do manage to take down Kurdan there, which is a bit strange. Meanwhile, however, Maim and Tychondrius are attacking Lordaeron, and this time it's really looking grim for the capital of the Lordaeron. And it does look like Foul has given up hope and is trying to teleport away, and meanwhile Gen is a bit more heroic and has decided to fight to the end, but unfortunately that's not going to work out too well for him. And yeah, looks like the orange worker is actually still alive, but yeah, that's the end of Lordaeron and the end of the sort of stronghold of the Alliance, I suppose. So yeah, there's only a minute left and there's only Dalaran left, and every single Horde hero is alive, but while a few Alliance heroes are dead, so it's definitely going to be a last-ditch attempt to see if Maim and Tychondrius and Ner'zhul in particular can burst through all these defenders in time. And it's certainly possible. See here, Sylvanas here, he's doing a really good damage, but he needs to be really careful so he doesn't get taken out by Cho'Gall or Ner'zhul by an unfortunate drag or firepower from Deathwing. You can see here Mame is on the move and Hycondrius is teleporting in. So, yeah, so a desperate moment here. You can see Balin and Magni chasing down Cho'Gall, but they get stopped by Ner'zhul, and they need to be really careful so that they don't get overextended and get taken out. A Mame with 6 unique items is no joke. He can really chop all this up in like 10 seconds if the alliance is not focusing him extremely well. And with both Mame and Hycondrius as these sort of late game melon here, because the alliance can really lose the game in a few seconds if they're not extremely careful. You can see here Sylvanas is shooting Ner'zhul, which he does a good job at. You can see Mame here getting focused down by the alliance, so we'll see what happens. He almost takes out Sylvanas there, but unfortunately doesn't quite manage, although it's gonna be close. And yeah, Mame does go down, but Sylvanas is extremely low as well. And meanwhile, I assume Hycondrius is in here somewhere. Something does take out Sylvanas, and the Hycondrius here is really rushing up the ramp, but with only 5 seconds left, it's very unclear if the Horde is really going to manage to take down the stone in these last couple of seconds. And they do pour in, and with a few more seconds they might have been able to win, but unfortunately they don't quite make it, and the Alliance does take a victory in the end. Yeah, a great game, I think, a very interesting strategy, and some rare strats going on, so yeah, thank you for watching. I will sort of look over the end screen a bit quickly to see if there's anything particularly interesting, but looks like pretty much what you'd expect. I'm a bit surprised the Mame doesn't have more kills actually, and Blue here is doing really well, and it's actually the third in unit kills, which is quite rare. And then you have pretty much what you expect. Light blue players perhaps a bit low, and red and teal rather are doing very well as well, and also have a lot of kills. And yellow, of course, number 1, doing really good. As far as heroes go, let's see. Heroes kill Mame is at the top, followed very closely by Ner'zhul and Cho'Gall, so yeah. I can't just hear a bit low on hero kills. Actually, compared with Kurdan, which is a bit odd, but yeah, pretty much what you'd expect with all the Horde more or less on top, and experience. Yeah, Mame and Tychondrius on top, and then Gen actually really high as well, and followed by Ner'zhul, and yeah, maybe Cho'Gall's a bit low, which is a bit strange. Anyhow, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.